Have you ever wanted a build that completely destroys everything in a fiery explosion? Do you want this same build to heal you, grant you ability energy, and look the absolute coolest? Then you're in luck. Today we are going over one of the most fun and amazing Titan builds that will have you spawning fiery explosions every few seconds, and will give you an extremely heavy hitting super that demolishes everything. Let's take a look at our centerpiece of this build. The Pyrogale Gauntlets are without a doubt one of Titan's most fun exotics in over a year, and that's because of the exotic perk, Percussive Flames. And this is honestly the dream perk for most Titans. It modifies your solar melee into a cyclone spawning double slam that ignites enemies instantly. What more could you want? Oh, you probably want a super that does the same thing but 5 times bigger with tracking? Well, you are one lucky son of a bitch because you get that too. Anyways, enough about our exotics, let's break down our subclass. Obviously we went with solar, and for the super we went with burning maul, because that'll give us that big slam attack. And then for our charged melee, we went with the throwing hammer, because it'll help us trigger one of our aspects and help with enemies at a range. Then for your grenade, you can pretty much use whatever you want. If you feel like you die a lot, go ahead and use the healing grenade, and if you want to lay down fire, use thermite. Now for our aspects. First we have Consecration, and that gives us that melee slam attack for our Pyrogale Gauntlets. And then for our next aspect, I decided Soul Invictus was a better choice than Roaring Flames, because it'll create those sunspots which will scorch enemies and heal you. But then again, Roaring Flames will give you up to 60% increased damage on your abilities, which is pretty good, so feel free to swap that in. Okay, now for our fragments. First we have Ember of Searing, which creates a fire sprite when killing scorched targets. And then these fire sprites will grant you melee energy. And then we have Ember of Ashes, which will increase the amount of scorch you apply by roughly 50%. And then we also have Ember of Eruption, which causes our ignitions to deal damage in a bigger radius. And lastly, if barrier champs are present, we'll be using Ember of Torches to trigger radiant on powered melee hits. But if there are no barrier champions, we're going to use Ember of Char to spread scorch when we trigger ignition explosions. Okay, that's all you need for your subclass, so let's go ahead and cover which weapon you should use. Honestly, Sunshot is the best bet most of the time. This gun has been utterly disgusting since Solar 3.0, and in this build, it really does thrive. And in this build, it truly thrives. Another great choice is the Polaris Lance. The Lance will strive the most in those situations where you have to play it safe. And due to this build and our seasonal artifact, this gun can stun unstoppables with ignitions and barriers with radiant, making it an amazing choice for grandmasters. And lastly, any solar weapon is going to be a great choice. They all fit in this build perfectly, especially if you can find one with incandescent. Oh, and then the seasonal rocket launcher Dragon's Breath is another great option. Now let's cover the boring part, armor mods. Really quick, I'm going to rant about armor mods, okay? Destiny ruined them. They are no longer fun, and they don't mean nearly as much as they once did. The min-maxing of past builds is no longer here. There is zero variety, and it is extremely boring for everyone. I'm so tired of suggesting the same 10 mods every build guide. But hey, at least it's easier to change loadouts. It's really not. Dim is so much better, and will actually pull from your vault. Okay, let's jump into the mods. For your helmet, you're going to go hands-on for the super energy, and then Solar Siphon to generate orbs on solar weapon kills. The Gauntlets will have melee kickstart to get that initial burst of melee energy, and heavy-handed for orbs on melee kills. On the chest, we're just going to use whatever resistance matches your current activity to be the absolute smartest. On the boots, we're going to go with Better Already for the health regen on orb pickup, Invigoration for melee energy on orb pickup, and Recuperation for another chunk of HP on pickup. And then finally, on our mark, Reaper to generate an orb after using your barricade, Powerful Attraction to collect nearby orbs when using your barricade, and lastly, Outreach for a small amount of melee energy on barricade use. Super fun, right guys? Anyways, let's cover the seasonal artifact, because it's one of the most important parts. The must-use artifacts are as follows. Kindling Trigger, so when you are radiant, your solar weapons apply scorch to unscorched targets. Flint Striker, making rapid solar precision hits and final blows grant radiant. Revitalizing Blast, causing the damage with a solar ability weakens champions and bosses. And then we have Ray of Precision, so while radiant, solar precision final blows cause ignitions. And then there are plenty of other good artifacts this season, like Heart of Flame to grant nearby allies radiant, or torch, so while radiant you deal increased damage to targets affected by stand or stasis debuffs. And that's the build. It really focuses on using your consecration melee every second possible to destroy every single enemy. But don't sleep on your ability to constantly scorch enemies and ignite them with your gun all the time. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a returning subscriber, you mean the absolute world to me. And if you're new, please check out some of my other videos maybe. And if you have an idea of something you'd like to see that you think others would enjoy, please comment below. We got a very long season ahead of us and any ideas are welcome. See ya!